Are Mary-Jane or Ballet flats better? Shall I get a block heel or shall I get a kitten heel? What is Sneakerina? What kind of boot do I need? Today, I will address all of your concerns. Today, I'm gonna give you your guide to shoe shopping. Cuckoo, my name is Anastasiia and welcome to my YouTube channel where we like all things classy, chic and smart. So if that is something you're interested in, you shall probably consider subscribing. I have always been more of a shoe girl versus a bag girl, hence I feel like I have quite a lot of experience in shopping for shoes, picking your shoes, the differences between all the possible options that you can get. Today I'm gonna address all of the most popular concerns, most asked questions with the help of VIVAIA, who I have been working with for the past 2 years. And if you know me, you know that I do not really do it if I don't genuinely like the brand. With that being said, the links to everything will be in the description below. And without further ado, let's get started with the topic of boots. And when it comes to boots, I think that the most asked question is, do I get tall knee-high boots or do I get ankle boots? Now I will be illustrating my points with two perfectly pretty pair of brown boots. These knee-high boots are called Filipa and these ankle boots are called Celina. If we are talking versatility alone and taking into the consideration that you are not wearing super skinny kind of pants, anything that is tight body hugging around your ankles, I would say that the knee-high boots are more versatile, simply because you can wear them both with the skirts and with the trousers. The leg of a shoe will just go under them and you won't exactly be able to see that they are the knee-high boots. And as for wearing ankle boots with the skirts, I don't mind it with the long skirts. When it comes to the mini skirts, I really do not like the look, simply because of how it breaks proportions. It doesn't really matter how long or how thin your legs are. If there is this horizontal line cutting off the bottom part of your legs will ultimately look shorter. However, you also have to consider that basically wearing the knee-high boots under your trousers adds the extra layer of warmth. It can be a pro if you are taking them out on the walks, your feet freeze a lot, or it's, God forbid, very freezing in your office, and a con if, on the other hand, it's very hot in your office. If you go for skirts and dresses, get yourself knee-high boots. If you go for jeans and trousers, get the ankle boots. And that would be everything I had to say on the matter. However, VIVAIA came with a rather interesting, in my humble opinion, feature, like option to add to your wardrobe, and that would be leg warmers, but they're not exactly leg warmers. Like, they don't look like leg warmers. The honors of unpacking something with you. It's not exactly a leg warmer in your usual kind of cozy-ish style, but these are the extra, let's say, boot sleeves that you can wear on top of your ankle boots, and they turn your ankle boots into the knee-high boots. And in order to show you how it works, I gotta unpack something else. So, let me introduce you to Regina Pro ankle boots. I have been thinking about shoe like this ever since the Louis Vuitton fiasco, because in my humble opinion, the biggest issue with the Louis Vuitton shoes were not the colors of them, but the texture of them. You cannot put on a skin colored leather and expect it to not look weird, with all due respect. However, what you can do is switch either color or the material. So if you still want to wear this kind of nude 80s looking tan boots, you gotta go for something textured. And would you look at that? This is exactly what VIVAIA came with this fall season. You put on a leg warmer, leg sleeve, then you put on your shoe under it. The universe collides, magic happens, and voila, you have dupe for Givenchy shark boots. On to the next concern, block heel versus kitten heel. So here we are gonna be comparing the Regina Pro boot that I have just introduced you to, and this lovely knee-high boot style that are called Filipa, with obviously a kitten heel. In terms of comfortability, when it comes to VIVAIA, I cannot say that one is overly more comfortable to walk in than another. However, what I want to draw your attention to is that they give a distinctly different vibe and they play into the distinctly different aesthetics. The block heel is obviously less feminine, but it is also a little bit more funky. funky. It's a little bit more 80s, a little bit more playful. While Kitten heel, on the other hand, is much more evening appropriate. It's more sophisticated, more classy. It helps to elongate your silhouette, to make you look more willowy if you wish. So whichever of those description talks better to you and whichever vibe or aesthetic you want to produce, this is exactly what you gotta go for. Next question, dark boots versus light boots. I will go back to the Celina ankle boots and we're gonna be comparing it to the Clara boots. Now, when it comes to choosing dark versus light, it is all about the contrast and the color scheme that you usually go for. Shoes play a very big role in elongating your silhouette, and there are multiple different ways that you can do it. For example, the easiest one is obviously matching the color of your shoes to the color of your pants, so that it all creates one vertical line of color and your legs look longer. When I say match the color of your shoe to the color of your pants, sometimes people take it a little bit too literal, that the only way to wear blue jeans and to use this tip is to go for the blue shoes, which is no. You can just stay in the same color scheme or choose colors that are close enough in terms of lightness versus darkness. For example, if we are talking about blue jeans, obviously the Clara boots are lighter and they go better in terms of prolonging the vertical of color with the blue jeans. Another way to go about it is to match the color of your shoes to the color of your accessories or the outerwear that you are wearing on top. And then it doesn't really matter what you are wearing in between, because the vertical of color will be prolonged through those accessories. For example, if you are wearing dark brown boots and like a brown coat or brown leather jacket on top, then this idea will keep on working no matter if you're wearing blue jeans or not. Easy way to answer the question of light shoes versus dark shoes would be whether you are matching your shoes to the color of your pants or to the color of your outerwear. Some people would say that it's better to get the darker shoes for the day-to-day just because it's more difficult to spill something on them, but VIVAIA boots are water repellent, so it doesn't really matter. Mary-Jane versus Ballet flats. My favorite, my beloved, my first ever pair of shoes that I've got from VIVAIA, Margot Mary-Jane's, and then the Ballet flat that I have. This is VIVAIA's older model. They don't do this exact one anymore, but they have some very similar, so I will leave the link to it in the description below. In terms of comfort, people are saying that Mary-Jane's are much more comfortable than the Ballet flats simply because they have this extra strap, and then they compare it to heels, but I do not think that this is true exactly, because in heels this strap actually take a lot of weight on itself, and that would be the weight of a heel. Now in Mary-Jane's it's more so decorative, and comfortability wise they are exactly the same. Visually, however, similar to the block heel versus kitten heel dilemma, they are giving completely different vibes. Mary-Jane shoes, because of their origins, will always have this preppy, girly, infantile kind of air around them, and the Ballet flats, if you will, are the elder, more sophisticated sister of a Mary-Jane, especially the pointy toe version that I have here. So the easy answer to that question would be, if you want to look stricter and more sophisticated, more put together, go for flats. If you want to look a little bit more preppy, a little bit more playful, go for Mary-Jane's. Heels versus flats. I will stick to the Ballet flat that I have been showing you and add these lovely Slingback heels to the equation. That is a very tricky question, because the easy way out that heels are less comfortable than the flats is not exactly true, because heels can be plenty comfortable. These ones, for example, are my absolutely go-to for the summer season. I wear them with the dresses on repeat. They have this lovely pinkish cool tone about them, which is a rather rare nude shade for the shoe, and it matches the undertones of my skin perfectly. Now, besides the obvious that some people just cannot stand any sort of heel, or some people just cannot go in the flat shoes, they do not feel sophisticated enough, they do not feel comfortable enough, those are the obvious concerns. What I will say on that matter is, once again, have a look at your wardrobe and what you have the most, alluding more to the length, pants lengths specifically, and also what works for your figure better. For example, if I were primarily wearing miniskirts, I would definitely pick a heel, because because for me, proportion-wise, when I'm wearing a miniskirt, I either need a heel or something chunkier on my feet so that once again, I look proportional. But simultaneously, I would never wear a heel with a pair of pants or a pair of jeans that were cut for the flat shoe. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can see a girl wearing like wide leg trousers at the ankle length, and then you can see the whole shoe. And you end up wondering, why does it look weird? It looks weird because proportion-wise, it makes no sense. This is exactly the reason of why when you go to the atelier, the seamstress will ask you if you are going to be wearing these pants with heels or with flat shoes, because if you are going to be wearing them with heels, depending on the heel height, the pants gotta be longer to create this whole illusion of the longer feet. This is the whole point of wearing pants with heels. Otherwise, it just looks funny. So if you only have pants and trousers that are meant to be worn with the flat shoe, you obviously gotta go for a flat shoe in order not to buy the whole new wardrobe. Or if you only have longer trousers, then once again, obviously go for a heel. Classy shoe versus sporty shoe. For the sporty contender, we have a Yancy Sneakerina, and for the classy one, VIVAIA has sent me yet another lovely pair, and they're so pretty. One thing that I personally consider VIVAIA doing the best job at is the whole color developing, color blocking, color matching situation. And I've never really heard people talking about it, but how difficult are these colors to develop, how easy it is to botch them up, and how good the product ended up looking. Regardless, for the classy shoe style, these are the Audrey loafers, and I think it's only fair to compare them because Sneakerina are not overly sporty and Audrey are not overly classy. So we're kind of moving in the same pool of outfit possibilities, rather than comparing stilettos to like runner sneakers. Now that simultaneously makes my job that much more difficult because in a way, they are interchangeable. Advice that I can give you here is going to be based on how I personally like styling my outfits, and that is a bit of a game in the contrast. I do like 70 to 80% of my outfit be in one aesthetic and 20 to 30% of it be in another aesthetic. So if we are talking smart casual, 70 to 80% is gonna be smart or casual, and then 20 to 30% is gonna be the other one, whatever is left. Same goes for casual chic, same goes for preppy, that I also like mixing with casual. In that regard, if the outfit we are constructing consists of a pair of jeans, a short, a blazer, picking between Sneakerina or loafer, you can either move the majority of the look into the smart territory or into the casual territory. And whichever one you pick is completely up to you. If you want your overall vibe to be smarter, go for loafers. If you want your overall vibe to be more casual, go for Sneakerina. And I also add an obvious differentiator that when it comes to the sporty shoes, the only bottom options you have going for you are jeans and trousers, and when it comes to loafers, also skirts and even certain dresses. So in that regard, I would say that the classy shoe is more universal. With that being said, we came to the end of this video. VIVAIA team was kind enough to provide me with a 12% off code for you, which I will leave on the screen right now, as well as in the description below, along with all of the shoe style that I've shown, as well as my sizes and feet lengths for references. If you like this video and if you want to show your support for me, I would very much so appreciate you subscribing to this channel and or leaving me a like. Also check out my other social medias if you like the vibes, and other than that, I'll see you in the next one. So bye!